Another auditing firm is in the crosshairs. The Independent Regulatory Board for Auditors, or IRBA, says that it has initiated a probe into Deloitte following the collapse of the share price of retailer Steinhoff.
Deloitte has been auditing Steinhoffs' financials and says that it will cooperate with the investigation. It comes after Steinhoff said that its accounting problems stretch as far back as 2016. That has fueled speculation that it was involved in using off-balance sheet items to hide losses, which may not only be irregular but fraudulent.
More than 200 billion rand was wiped off the value of shares in Steinhoff and related companies last week. The company is now trying to keep creditors on board while investigations are underway. It's announced the resignation of the chair of the board, Christo Wiese, to avoid a conflict of interest. Meanwhile, Finance Minister Malusi Gigaba says his meeting with various stakeholders today to discuss the scandal emerged with a 5-point plan. Those points including establishing a regulatory task team and taking steps to reassure investors and deal with potential job losses.
Holding people accountable will really depend on the investigations conducted and what the outcome of those investigations are. I have asked the regulators that without being hasty and rash, they need to be decisive, speedy, in the conduct of their investigations, so that we can get to the bottom of this issue as quickly as possible, and that they need to act in an independent fashion without being influenced. It's important for us to do that so that we can establish the extent of the failures that have been experienced by Steinhoff, the impact of those failures not only on South Africa's financial markets but also on the country as a whole. We need to draw necessary lessons from this in terms of good governance, the quality of leadership in our public and private institutions, the impact on the pensioners whose funds are being invested, as well as on the quality of governance in our different institutions. So we are going to act as soon as we have that information provided to us. We are concerned that the extent of the damage that has been caused by this sad episode should be mitigated in terms of the country's reputation and the reputation of our business and public sector leadership. And that's why we have undertaken to embark on a roadshow in order to reassure the investors that as South Africa Inc., we are dealing with situations of this nature. We also would want to ensure that the various companies that which belong to the Steinhoff stable, especially the South African companies, remain protected and are able to protect the jobs of South Africans, because we wouldn't want to see South Africans in an environment of high unemployment further losing jobs because of the reckless actions of managers in different companies. It does happen often that when there are such instances, it is the men in the street who gets the raw end of the stick. And so we need to ensure that we can act to protect those and to protect the pensioners whose funds are being held by and invested both in and by these companies.